the price of XRP popping to $30,000 is the thought process being shared here. So are we really going to see something like this? Does the charts show you any type of possibility that this can happen? If not, what does the chart suggest? That is going to be a big thing to try and find out. But in the meantime, if you are here in the market, I would say this is something important. Understanding there is a negative divergence on a 3-day chart on Ether, it's important. Why? Because you will see some of the altcoins following Ether while it executes that. Yes, I agree. On the other end, you're watching things like this. This is today, right? CAcoin is showing you all this, which means, as we've been talking about this asset from a long time, it showed us it was about to happen. It showed us this was there. And I tried to give you guys all the best as I could. And right now, here the price is another 50% up from the most recent update, which was January 7th. So just in 2 weeks, you're up 50%, but that's not the matter. It's the high momentum phase about to enter. So is XRP going to participate there? There is a lot of signal that we may do that. We're going to try and break these possibilities down and to see what the market is actually doing, why we actually saw some of these assets popping 100% for the day. That was not a small move, right? It actually popped through. We were in there. We took profits. We knew there is something going to happen, right? It was like a couple of other assets which were popping. Now, if you actually want to identify those and get these calls on the right time, look at the SI family. The link to join us in the description below. Now, guys, welcome to the Scientific Investor family. So before we actually jump in to look at this, I would say, okay, this is something we need to keep an eye on. The possibility of the fundamentals, the possibility of the news and the current affairs of XRP is huge. So as we do break things down here, I would request, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do smash it. Now, when we are looking through these news, some of them are like history is repeating itself. It's about the charts. It's about the technical side of things. But some of them are not. It's more about the adoption. It's more about how they're expanding, right? So we actually understand the fact that that side of things, it's perfectly aligned for this particular asset. But what's not aligned is the market sentiment for the same asset, meaning all the fundamentals are there. But are we watching this trending higher, breaking to the upside at the moment? No, we're not watching that happen here, right? But we do see this. And I'm like, okay, that's a big thing to keep in mind. If we have actually done these kind of bottoms before and then started to move higher, then as of now, we are doing something similar. Yeah, each time you actually had a different type of bottom signal, which went back up into that trending channel on the strength. But this time around, when you actually try and identify that along with the price, it kind of shows you, okay, we should not actually miss the big portion here. Yes, it is true that in the last cycle, we only ran from 0.11 all the way up to close to like $2, a 16x move. It's not too small, but compared to the competitors like XLM doing a 30x, this was smaller than that. But remember, back in the days, when we did not have the SEC issue, we actually did run pretty crazy. Right now, it's getting solved, the SEC issue, and all the exchanges are relisting us, so we should be getting some volume. 1, 2. You go on the price action, you're like, okay, we're trying to slow down, but where the hell are we? Now, yes, if we do break this pattern, that's where some kind of negative momentum comes in, and we start to talk about 0.46, we'll have to start and talk about point 4. But as of now, we're still on this support. This range has been acting as a support for XRP for an extended period of time. So unless that break to the downside, higher odds are that we would bounce from here. What can the price action show us, right? This is something on a short term. This is something on the medium term. We have a lot happening. But on the macro, this kind of shows you this break higher here can kickstart something big. But being honest, I would say I really don't think the price is going anywhere close to $30,000. Oh, that's insane. Like, if we put the argument on a macro, we'll have to understand that, okay, we can take all of this and say there is a macro trend formation in this asset, agreed. But does it actually start here? No, it doesn't. So you'll have to go on to a chart, which is in trading view, where you get to see the history of that asset on a macro level. So you're going into this, you are bringing this chart up to understand what you're watching. That is something to keep an eye on, because when people actually give you the fact that this asset has done enormously well, there are people on the other end who will say, no, this asset hasn't done anything. I mean, think about that. If you've been riding this asset in last 10 years, it has already done a massive 25x. Now, a 250x. Well, that's mind-boggling. Now, if you've been riding this asset from last 10 years, now here you are around 1,600, 1,400x to the upside. That's a huge move. Last 8 years, last 5 years. So the price action is showing you where you are at this point. But now if you actually remove all those measurements and you want to see where we are in terms of the price action, in terms of the trend, the support and all, we're coming back close to that macro trend line support. So there will be a lot of confusions, but what you can do is to understand the noise in the market. Reduce that noise in the market, and we are so close to these levels. This is one of the reversal point. This is another one here. Now we are getting really close to that. Now, yes, you can try looking for the standard deviations in the market, and it also shows you somewhat like this. So this range should be a big support for this asset, because the consolidation here inside this macro movement has been extended. Now, if you go back on Bitcoin, bring that close to what we have seen in the recent past, you guys will understand what is happening. You'll actually see the price doing this kind of a giant move to the upside and then consolidating there before it takes higher. So what are you watching here? The price running up for sure, and then making a pattern like this, reaccumulation, and then break to the upside, a trend continuation. So that's not a small thing. So when you come into XRP, I think that is somewhat close to the scenario which we are watching. We came up here, but we are inside this range. So if we do break higher, that is going to be a decent run to the upside. But on the macro here, when we come back, include the chart details all the way from 2013, 2014 range, we're kind of like, okay, this is wave 1, this is wave 2. Are we about to do the wave 3? So how small is going to be the wave 3? Like wave 2 here, wave 1 here was actually close to a 30x. So if we plot that and say, okay, based on XRP's history, it has usually done bigger than wave 1. But let's stay calm and say, okay, if we are to bounce higher from that level, we are looking for somewhat like a 30x. The current price is close to 0.55. If you actually plot that, you're still talking about a $15 per XRP. Now, we already know the fact that wave 3, not all asset performs, but XRP does. Even last time, we saw that. The cycle before that, we saw that. So when you look at this asset, it kind of gives you the idea it usually performs much better as a blow off the top in wave 3. Now, what am I really talking about? If you were not in the market, if you haven't studied the price action of XRP, Here you go, you can actually see this asset doing something like that. You're trying to break down the microwave structure for sure, but you can actually see these kind of movements. So you're not actually looking wave 3 like this. Majority of the assets did not do that. You come here, look at what Bitcoin did. This was barely a new high. It came back down. You go look at, say, Cardano, you go look at a lot of different assets, and you will see this particular pattern where you're not actually doing a big wave 3. But yeah, your wave 2 was a decent, great one for sure. But in XRP, you're watching that wave 3 is a decent ride to the upside. So if you are looking at the last one, you can actually put like, okay, the 1, the 2, the 3. Here also, the 3 is not that small, right? This is where that ride off comes. Yes, for sure, you actually got a huge move there just because of the SEC case coming in. But other than that, it was a consistent structure where the third wave was bigger. So if you are to put that macro wave structure here, saying, guys, what these assets are completing 3-wave structure, take 80 to 100% off your asset out. For me, it would be somewhat like 80 to 85 if it's going close to my targets for sure. And think about this. When you do get these kind of a move to the upside, if you're not thinking about taking profits, you need to understand one thing. When we had the SEC issue coming in, this was that volume who shorted the market. Think about that for a moment. As of now, we're not watching that amount of a buy back into the market. That is something huge. So when people actually argue that Ripple is dumping on us, if they were to do that again, or if they were to do that on scale, the price should have been here, not anywhere here. Clear, it's demand versus the supply. So if the supply is being diluted heavily, we would have been in these levels, not here. Remember, the price of XRP started trading and we came close to this level. If you consider the current price, you're still 1000x upside. If you consider where we went, that's a monumental run up. It's not small. The only issue was all those fraudsters, all those bad guys shorting XRP with the Ether gate. You know, the XRP is a security type of guys. They all went bankrupt. That's a different story. But we do understand the fact that we don't have that volume yet. We would like to see a breakout. We would like to see people jumping onto this asset following that breakout. This is something we all want. But as you slowly step into the price action, understanding different horizon of charts, and you're like, okay, fine, this is just something getting started here. Forget about the FOMO. We're not even in that impulsive structure yet. As soon as you do get one, that's where this amount of strength, the bounce, that will create the momentum to the upside. Now that's the XRP part of things if you're eager to learn more about XRP. But when you're here on Ether, remember, last time when you saw something like this, the price action dropped a little bit, made a double bottom. There was clearly a reaccumulation phase, and then it went back up. And that's where this comes into picture. The accumulation, it broke higher, the reaccumulation, then what are you doing now? Boom, you're going up. So understanding these basics of what the market does and how the market gives you opportunities to have trades like this is what we do in the SI family. So if you are interested in joining the group with 970 plus members and growing on a daily basis, because this is what they get. This is the best well-educated group in the crypto market as of now, where people are learning, educating themselves about each and every possibility so they don't make a mistake. If you are highly levered when this happens, say you are at 10x levered and 30% drop is wiping you out, unless you have a ton of money to add on to the margin calls, right? Realistically, don't go about 2 to 3x. It's going to wipe the flow away. If you have a 3x and the 30% drop comes in, you can find 5 to 10% of profits which you have skimmed before to put into the margin. Fine. But if you're 5x, whoa, that's now a whole different story. If you're 10x, boom, it's done. You're gone, right? we try to show you the most likely outcome or expected outcome of what I do with my money. So if you want to join that party, I would say this is a time where you get opportunity. Meaning if you believe like, I missed out on the run, maybe this drop, not all assets will drop. Keep this in mind because some of them has already completed that reaccumulation structure and went up. So that part is done. They're going up. You missed that for sure. But there is another segment which is about to give you some level of correction. And if you are a buy the dip guy, this is going to be an opportunity for you. Remember, before you get a weekly divergence, negative, price usually show you that I'm going down and the weekly go back up and close there, and kind of frustrates a lot of different individuals because the fact that the price action is showing something like this at a point where you're literally, even at this point, you're looking at this and saying like, whoa, 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 what's happening? The micro weekly structure, you're zooming in on the weekly itself, right? Shows me a negative divergence. That's where you understand the market cycle, where we came from, where we are. Reaccumulation, that's what's happening, not the top formation. A lot of people get confused. Unless you go higher, you cannot have a top. I've heard people say, dead cat bounce. And I'm like, dead cat bounces usually happens somewhat like this. You drop massively and then you bounce back up. You drop massively, you have a bounce back up, which will be rejected. That is dead cat bounce, not when you're trending up. Don't make a mistake. Understand what the market does. Learn from the history. This gives you the maximum advantage in the market. So guys, if you haven't smashed that like button yet, do that. It supports the channel a lot. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.